The very best, fast advice I could give anybody who's on a health savings account and making use of that tax-deferred product or potentially completely tax-free product, depending on how you use the money, is don't spend it. Don't spend it. So a lot of our clients have health savings accounts. And of course, employees ask me during open enrollment season, at other times when they're newly hired, what can I use this for? How do I do it? You know, all the questions that come along with it. And if you want to learn all that stuff, great, you can, but I'll give you the sweetest, easiest, simplest advice. Don't use it. Take every dollar your employer is going to match in that account, put it in that account, you match everything you can and bring it all the way up to the statutory maximum for that year if you possibly can, and squirrel it away. As soon as you get beyond the guaranteed minimum cash balance that you'll need, go ahead and invest it into whatever mutual funds are available to you through your investment institution, and take that little debit card you get, stick it in a file in your office and forget about it. I don't even activate mine, because here's the deal. You're gainfully employed now. You're in the peak earning potential of your life, or you're leading up to it, most likely. Why? Because you're listening to this, because you're talking to me at open enrollment, because you're at work. So you have income right now. If that's the case, don't spend your HSA funds. Save them for a rainy day. Tuck those things away. We're all going to need them as we get older. Your medical costs go up exponentially as you age, and we are all going to need them. A statistic that blows people's minds every time I share it is, this statistic is replicated by multiple different financial institutions, usually every spring. In fact, it probably just came out in May, but it's always the same number. If you are a couple retiring today, how much money do you think you're going to need in your retirement years up to your normal life expectancy of late 70s, early 80s, depending upon your sex? Now, that's also assuming that you have Social Security and Medicare, right? This is how much money are you going to need in addition to Medicare to pay for the various out-of-pocket expenses and things that you'll have that are going to be costs for you in your retirement years. It's always between $225,000 and $250,000. That's right. So as you're doing your retirement planning, remember, you're going to need an extra $250,000 just in addition to Medicare. Now, that doesn't even take into account the fact that we are $34 trillion in debt as a country. We're taking on every expense that we can't afford. We're wiping out student debt. We're inflating the money into oblivion. So if you're under 50, I always recommend, I mean, even honestly, if you're over 50 a little bit, but I recommend don't count on having Medicare and Social Security in your golden years. I know that's a little bit doomy, but the reality is if you do all of your financial planning such that you don't need Medicare and Social Security, you're safe. If you get it, it's gravy. My dad actually taught me this lesson. Somebody taught it to him in the 70s. He's mid-80s now, and he's made great use of Medicare and Social Security. So that's wonderful. I hope I'm mid-80s and I could make great use of it too. But the reality is you're going to need those dollars as you age. What you spend in your 30s and 40s on healthcare is nothing compared to what you're going to need to spend in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. So take that little card, file it away, forget about it. Now, look, if you have an emergency, if something comes up, if you need that money to avoid going into further debt, of course, use your HSA. But what I'm talking about is I don't want to see you using it for copays. I don't want to see you using it for Band-Aids and ACE bandages and prescription drug costs. If you can afford to pay those at all right now with your after-tax dollars, do it. Squirrel away that money in your HSA. Treat it like a little mini 401k. Forget you have it. Just max it out every year. And the next thing you know, you'll have $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in there. Trust me. I know. I started this when I was very young. I haven't even been on an HSA every year since between the ages of like 28 and 50. I've got tens of thousands of dollars in HSA. I don't even forget. In fact, I have 3 different HSAs. I have the accounts all. I haven't even bothered to combine them into one account. I just know they're there. I know that if something horrible happens on a rainy day, we got that money, right? So it makes life easier too, because you don't have to worry at open enrollment about, can I swipe it for this? Can I swipe it for that? You ain't got to worry about it. Don't swipe it at all. If you have to swipe it, swipe it. I'm just telling you, this is the easiest, simplest, cleanest, most time-saving advice you can have with respect to HSAs. All right. Have a great day. I'll see you when? At open enrollment.